Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is dMBoyo from Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. Yes, in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss, who is dMBoyo today. And then in the top right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg, who is FXOtgun, or was FXOtgun, but I will get to that interestingness in a minute. I'm not sure interestingness is a word, but we will get to it in a minute. Okay, so as I said earlier, in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have Boyo. He is a 15-year-old player coming from the USA. I believe he used to be in the clan, or the group even, or team, as some refer to it as. They used to be in the team External Plague. Awesome. And he has won several low-level tournaments, and he is not a player to be messed around with at all. At the time of this game actually being played, which I believe was sometime fairly recently, I'm not sure when though, he was 91st in the Grandmaster League and the North American server, which is very, very interesting indeed. It means that he is a cracker of a player, of course. If we go up to the top right of the map at the moment, to our other player today, FXOtgun. Again, FXO being his old team that he used to play with. He is now with Team Gosu. It's Gosu even. I believe he left FXO on the 8th of November last year. Okie dokie. He is also rank 97 in Grandmaster League as well. Excellent. And he's an Australian player too, if I haven't mentioned that already. If I have, I'm really, really sorry. I do make mistakes, unfortunately. Now, we do have the expansion coming down here from Boyo, and it is a very, very common Protoss play to put down an expansion. But, may I say, it's not such a common play to put down your expansion, your actual Nexus placement first, and then put down the supporting kind of buildings to ensure that your opponent cannot actually attack you early. So, I don't know, he's kind of mixing it up a little bit here, really getting the Nexus as like his first or second building next to this pylon. And one could say that that is an ultra-fast expand compared to your regular, normal, just fast expand. Excellent, so we do have the circling speed on the way from T-Gun, so it does look like it's going to be a fairly standard opening for now, but he's going to see if he can get in there and do any damage. We do have a photon cannon on the way from Boyo as well, so it doesn't look like these Zerglings will be able to do as much damage as they would probably like, but they're going to try. They just need to be able to get past it pretty much. I mean, if they can run and hit and attack these probes, as long as there's still some Zerglings left, then it should be a pretty dangerous situation for those pros, but they're not going to actually risk it. They're just going to settle on trying to destroy these rocks instead, which will mean that Boyo will have to think about perhaps actually blocking off even more of this area here too. I think this might put Boyo in a pretty difficult spot, or he might just place the Cybernetics core back here instead and let the Zerglings kind of try and go through that as it stands. We do have this whole lot kind of powered off one very, very precarious sort of Artosis pylon, and of course if the pylon does go down, I'm sure it won't because Zerglings can't jump over buildings, but if it did, then well, I think Boyo would very, very easily lose the game indeed. Fortunately, T-Gun has nothing that can attack that just yet. Zealot coming out having a little bit of a poke, trying to stop these Zerglings from attacking these rocks, but he needs to be careful not to get surrounded as well. That could be a pretty bad situation for the Zealot to end up in. We do have one Zergling dying pretty valorously here. It does seem like T-Gun actually playing with his opponent as he expands twice, which is again something that we see Zerg players doing quite often when a Protoss player blocks in against them. They really, really take advantage of the fact that they're kind of being left to their own devices. When a Protoss blocks in like this, unless they go and get air units, they're essentially handing map control over to their Zerg opponent on a plate. So, I mean, Zerg players do tend to go a bit wild on their macro in this time, and indeed they need to as well, because a Protoss on 2 base can be very, very dangerous indeed, especially when they're getting Colossus or Void Rays out. We do have the 1 weapons on the way from our Protoss player, which does seem to be a very, very common trend at the moment. for Protoss against Zerg, getting your weapons upgrades very, very early indeed. It makes your whole army far more effective. We had a very strange situation there where the Zerglings were on hold position and Zealot was just standing right next to them. I don't know if you guys saw, but that was a very bizarre thing to see indeed. And we do have a Roach Warren on the way from T-Gun right now, as well as a Lair. Now the Roach Warren, of course, will help T-Gun bust down this defence of Boyo here, and it will mean that Boyo is going to have to perhaps be a little bit more careful. But, I mean, 3 cannons is a pretty sturdy defence at this point in time. This Overlord does look like it's going to go down, which will in turn actually supply block T-Gun for a bit. He does have more Overlords coming out though, so it shouldn't be such a problem in the long game. Excellent, and also obviously we've got the other hatcheries out at the moment. Sweet as a nut. Awesome. So we do have both players macroing up quite quickly. Of course, the lair is almost finished. It'll be pretty interesting to see what tech our Zerg player T-Gun goes today. And we do have the Roach speed upgrade as well, which of course makes Roaches really, really, really fast. Or actually, not really fast, I wouldn't say, but fast enough to kind of pose a really, really decent threat to Stalkers, because Stalkers otherwise are actually quite a lot faster than Roaches. Also, we have the Zealot charge speed upgrade on the way from Boyo as well as a Templar Archives. A Templar Archives as well. And lots of gates as well. Very, very typical of your early expanding Protoss to see so many gates going up at once like this. Generally speaking, when they get their mineral lines kind of saturated like this, you do tend to see a explosion in production around this 8, 9 or 10 minute mark from Protoss players, and this is the time where they can really start using some of that muscle. Also, this probe seems to have left the base probably before it got blocked in, and it's actually putting down proxy pylons as well, which give a very, very nasty surprise for Boyo indeed, because at the moment I believe he might think that he has full map control to himself. Now we do have Boyo destroying a warp gate literally to get out of his base so he can go and do some damage, it would seem. We do have a fairly strong looking attack, pegging it across the map, as us English people would say, or British people would say. Some of us would say it anyway. And a fairly risky strategy here, seeing as we do have High Templar warping in. If those Zerglings had seen that earlier, then they might have actually been able to kill these Archons before they've been fully made. But unluckily, these Roaches do look like they'll be walking straight into the Archons, which were in fact placed down with the proxy pylon here, putting these Roaches in a really, really nasty situation to be in. Indeed, surrounded by charge lots and being zapped by an Archon. That cannot be comfortable for a Roach to be in at all. So this is a fairly nice attack from this is a pretty dang nicely kind of planned, timed attack from Boyo at the moment, but I think he is going to have to worry a little bit about those Zerglings. Make sure he doesn't allow the Zerglings to get the surround on these Zealots too quickly. He also is, of course, warping in more units with the massive amount of supply and resource that he has. It is worth to see at the moment, though, Boyo has actually stopped making probes at the moment. Of course, making probes is a really, really important thing to do. This Zealot here will get annihilated, unfortunately, because he has been unfortunate enough to let some Zerglings get us around. Another proxy pylon desperately going up there for Boyo, but more Zealots coming in at the top, left-hand corner as well. Really, really aggressive kind of style from Boyo right now. And another probe coming up here, but it does look like it will get spotted by the Zergling on the watchtower and probably taken out quite quickly. One thing that Protoss players do have to be kind of careful of is a kind of a Zerg counterattack that can be pretty dangerous to deal with, unfortunately. But it doesn't look like Boyo is going to have to be too careful of that, as he does have a fairly large army that I'm not sure T-Gun actually knows about at all. I mean, if he did know about it, I think quite a lot more of his units might be in this area, but now he does know about it indeed. Those Zerglings, they're getting absolutely destroyed by those Zealots pretty quickly. Unfortunately, the High Templar does not have Psystorm just yet, which is a major, major ability, and this Protoss army is going to have to be very, very careful, because that is a lot of Roach coming straight into his face. Another Archon being morphed here as well. We do have weapons too down for our Protoss player right now, but I mean, he is going to have to be really, really careful about the amount of Roach that his opponent actually has right now, because that is a lot. It does look like, if he's not careful, well, it'll be interesting to see who wins this battle. To be honest, you can't really micro Roaches too well against Zealots, but it'll be good to see what actually happens. It seems to be a little bit of a standoff, neither playing being really too sure what's going to happen. But now we do have some ranged kind of support for the Zealot push as well, which should give him a slight edge as well. This is a pretty dangerous looking Protoss army attacking the Roaches here, but I mean, with some pretty snazzy micro from our Zerg player, it does actually look like his army will overwhelm the Protoss one. We do have more Zealots pushing in as well, but they do work sometimes generally quite well as quite a diversionary tactic where everything else has kind of gone to pot and you need to get those Stalkers away. Unfortunately, that does not look like that will be happening today, as T-Gun still has a hell of a lot of Roach, as it were, bearing down on Boyo's position. More Zealots coming out for Boyo as well at the moment, which will also get cleared up by the Roaches too. Not a whole lot of production going on at the moment, just more and more Roaches for T-Gun at this point in time. He's very much going for the Roach and Ling sort of attacks. It does look like this could perhaps be a run by, or he is going to check for a third base from Boyo, which is not actually there at the moment. You really have to wonder if Archon Zealot is the correct choice against this many Roaches. It does look like he's doing some sort of an attempt to transition with the Stalkers there, but it is still yet to really be seen. A run by at this point in time could be really, really, really dangerous for Boyo. And I really like the way that T-Gun has obviously spread his Roaches out as well. We do have T-Gun scouting around. These Lings will definitely find this pylon and clear that up as well. More Roaches here, spooled up there for T-Gun as well. And we do have the massive, massive move in from T-Gun. And they do look like they'll be destroying that pylon, taking out all of the power for the surrounding buildings. And the Roaches in the main base right now doing a hell of a lot of damage. The probes trying to sacrifice themselves, but I don't think that's actually enough probes to do enough damage in the first place. Unfortunately, the Roaches trapping themselves inside the enemy Protoss base, with more stuff being warped in as well. It's yet to be seen who will win this engagement, but it does definitely look like the Zerg player does favour it at the moment, especially with the fact that he has more and more streaming units in. And look how much Roach he has coming in as well, keeping in mind that these are still burrowed here as well. And there is the GG from Boyo, leaving the game after a kind of a cunning plan up here with his pylons warping in High Templars and Zealots, but unfortunately it's all just not enough. You could wonder that maybe he should have got maybe a higher tier tech unit whilst the Zerg opponent was blocked out of the base, but you really don't want to leave a really high level Zerg such as T-Gun alone for too long doing his own thing. That can be a very, very dangerous thing indeed, seeing as he was getting his hive tech and undoubtedly probably shifting into getting some Ultralisks, or if not that, maybe just the adrenal glands for Zerglings. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day and enjoy playing StarCraft 2, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.